What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony Russo from Be the Change USA and Awake Not Woke Clothing. All right, so I started watching. We're seeing all the news come in. I watched the first 5 minutes, and I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna do it live." I'm sure a lot of people were working, and this would probably be a great time. 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock. If you didn't watch it live, as I said earlier in my video, the importance is to hear his words, hear him as a leader, hear what he's talking about, and what he is forcing on the American public. I don't know what exactly the end of it said, but I could tell you the first 5 minutes were some of the most disgusting things I've ever heard come out of a president's mouth. The way he said it and the divisive rhetoric. So I am going to play it here. I'm going to be looking at comments. I'm going to, for the most part, keep myself muted, but I will be making comments throughout. I'll pop in, but for the most part, I'll do commentary at the end. But I can tell you the words that came out of his mouth were absolutely terrifying. So I'm going to get back to the beginning when he walked to the stage. Let's see and make sure that the audio is on. I'm sure you're seeing everything come through the phones, and I want you to know there was a post that he made in December. I'm sorry, a speech he made in December. I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand it to be mandatory. That was in December before he was president, before he was sworn in. And now, of course, he's mandating every employer with more than 100 workers to require COVID vaccinations or weekly testing. So this is as extreme as it comes. And I had a feeling earlier today we are going to be getting some news that we're going to be getting a speech that showed exactly where our country is going. And I don't know when we were about to be ready to draw the line. We continue to talk about it. But if anybody's got protests in the Dallas area, message me. I will come speak. I will come rally a crowd, because at this point, there is businesses that are going to be getting fined if this is true. So I will talk more at the end. But this is where they're using evolving science to make rules on people and force things upon their livelihood and their bodies. I'm going to bring this up on the screen, the video. We do have, if you saw the logo of the actual screen, we have these t-shirts that I just put up on the website. And I will actually, Casey, since you're watching, actually, I'll put it up there. I'm going to go and get it started. I'm going to put it in the comment box and throw it up. It's called ULM, Unvaccinated Lives Matter. But either way, I want to watch this video. I'm going to put myself on mute. I'll talk once in a while. This is directly off the whitehouse.gov YouTube page, so we should not have an issue. Take it down. Yeah, he said, I mean, this is as big of a flip-flop. This is a mandatory things that we should not have to worry about as American citizens. And all of a sudden, this is where we've chosen to go. Like, I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'll be watching comments. I'll try to answer them potentially as they go. I'd like to play this almost all the way throughout without stopping. Let's go ahead and get started.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. I want to talk to you about where we are in the battle against COVID-19, the progress we've made, and the work we have left to do. And it starts with understanding this. Even as the Delta variant 19 COVID-19 has been hitting this country hard, we have the tools to combat the virus if we can come together as a country and use those tools. If we raise our vaccination rate, protect ourselves and others with masking, expanded testing, and identify people who are infected, we can and we will turn the tide on COVID-19. It'll take a lot of hard work. It's going to take some time. Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated, even though the vaccine is safe, effective, and free. You might be confused about what is true and what is false about COVID-19.
Okay, I'm stopping early, but he said safe, effective, and free. It's not free. Taxpayer dollars are paying for it. We are paying for it with government money. And the safe and effective is to me, that would be what's considered misinformation, as its effectivity has not been fully tested. We do not know, as we've seen, the initial comment was it will keep you from getting the virus, and now it then went to it'll keep you from hospitalization, and now it'll keep you from dying from the virus, and now it is just mitigating and let's blame the unvaccinated. So again, that is the first lie right out of his mouth. Not fully safe. We've had people that have been injured from this, and it's none of what he just said is correct. And that's how we began the speech right out of the gate.
So before I outline the new steps to fight COVID-19 that I'm going to be announcing tonight, let me give you some clear information about where we stand. First, we've made considerable progress in battling COVID-19. When I became president, about 2 million Americans were fully vaccinated. Today, over 175 million Americans have that protection. Before I took office, we hadn't ordered enough vaccine for every American. Just weeks in office, we did. The week before I took office on January 20th of this year, over 25,000 Americans died that week from COVID-19. Last week, that grim weekly toll was down 70%. And then 3 months before I took office, our economy was faltering, creating just 50,000 jobs a month. We're now averaging 700,000 new jobs a month in the past 3 months.
Because we were just coming out of a pandemic.
But while America is much better shape than it was 7 months ago when I took office, I need to tell you a second fact. We're in the tough stretch, and it could last for a while. Highly contagious Delta variant that I began to warn America about back in July spread late summer, like it did in other countries before us. While the vaccines provide strong protection for the vaccinated, we read about and hear about and we see the stories of hospitalized people on their deathbeds among the unvaccinated over the past few weeks. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And it's caused by the
propaganda.
Fact that despite America having unprecedented and successful vaccination program, despite the fact that for almost 5 months, free vaccines have been available in 80,000 different locations, we still have nearly 80 million Americans who have failed to get the shot. And to make matters worse, there are elected officials.
We haven't failed, we've chosen.
Working to undermine the fight against COVID-19.
And out of that 80 million, how many are children also?
Encouraging people
skewed
to get
numbers.
Vaccinated and mask up. They're ordering mobile morgues for the unvaccinated dying from COVID in their communities.
And vaccinated, because they're both dying.
Third, if you wonder how all this adds up, here's the math. The vast majority of Americans are doing the right thing. Nearly 3/4 of the eligible have gotten at least one shot, but 1/4 has not gotten any. That's nearly 80 million Americans not vaccinated.
All right, I'm going to stop real quick. I'm going to keep playing it through. I want to remind you guys. So I'm watching the comments come in. I appreciate you guys. Know that your comments are probably being watched always in terms of getting this stream pulled. So do me a huge favor. You can be as pissed off as you want. Maybe just like F you instead of FUC, just stuff like that. Hey, I agree with you. It's painful. And I think it's important to watch all of this so we understand exactly what we're facing. Also, do me a favor. Again, right, we are just sharing information. Share this video. Share it out there. Let people see what we're talking about. This is because most people are just going to watch their CNN or their Fox News. They're going to watch 2-minute clips of it spun together. We already know based on the news that's come in exactly what he's going to say in the end. But I think the rhetoric is important because it is totalitarian rhetoric. It is abuse of power. It is abuse of the executive office from a man that doesn't even know where he is half the time. So please share this and do me a huge favor. Hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts, hit the care button, hit all the different things that you possibly can, because that will increase the algorithm. So if you haven't hit anything yet, there's a disproportionate number. Do it in the count of 5, and then we'll get started again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you guys. Hit the like button. Let's get the stream going again. And again, I'll put the thing in the comment box if you want the Unvaccinated Lives Matter shirt.
And a country as large as ours, that's 25% minority. That 25% can cause a lot of damage, and they are. The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, are overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units, leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or pancreatitis or cancer. And fourth, I want to emphasize that the vaccines provide very strong protection from severe illness from COVID-19.
See the numbers, Joe.
I know there's a lot of confusion and misinformation, but the world's leading scientists confirm that if you are fully vaccinated, your risk of severe illness from COVID-19 is very low.
100%.
In fact, based on available data from the summer, only 1 out of every 160,000 fully vaccinated Americans was hospitalized for COVID per day. These are the facts. So here's where we stand. The path ahead, even with the Delta variant, is not nearly as bad as last winter. But what makes it incredibly more frustrating is that we have the tools to combat COVID-19, and a distinct minority of Americans, supported by a distinct minority of elected officials, are keeping us from turning the corner. These pandemic politics, as I refer to, are making people sick, causing unvaccinated people to die. We cannot allow these actions to stand in the way of protecting the large majority of Americans who have done their part and want to get back to life as normal. As your president, I'm announcing tonight a new plan to require more Americans to be vaccinated to combat those blocking public health. My plan also increases testing, protects our economy, and will make our kids safer in schools. It consists of 6 broad areas of action and many specific measures in each of those actions you can read more about in whitehouse.gov.
How can you not read off of a damn teleprompter?
Whitehouse.gov. The measures, these are going to take time to have full impact. But if we implement them, I believe, and the scientists indicate, that the months ahead we can reduce the number of unvaccinated Americans, decrease hospitalizations and deaths, and allow our children to go to school safely and keep our economy strong by keeping businesses open. First, we must increase vaccinations among the unvaccinated with new vaccination requirements. With nearly 80 million eligible Americans who have not gotten vaccinated, many said they were waiting for approval from the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Well, last month, the FDA granted that approval.
Because they got how many dollars, Joe?
Time for waiting is over. This summer, we made progress through the combination of vaccine requirements and incentives, as well as the FDA approval. 4 million more people got their first shot in August than they did in July. But we need to do more. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Yes, it is.
It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
Then why don't you talk about health, Joe? Natural health.
People you care about, people you love. My job as president is to protect all Americans.
Bullshit.
So tonight, I'm announcing that the Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
Wow.
Or show a negative test at least once a week. Some of the biggest companies are already requiring this. United Airlines, Disney, Tyson's Food, and even Fox News. The bottom line, we're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers. We're going to reduce the spread of COVID-19 by increasing the share of the workforce that is vaccinated in businesses all across America. My plan will extend the vaccination requirements that I previously issued in the healthcare field. Already, I've announced we'll be requiring vaccinations of all nursing home workers who treat patients on Medicare and Medicaid because I have that federal authority. Tonight, I'm using that same authority to expand that to cover those who work in hospitals, home health care facilities, or other medical facilities. A total of 17 million healthcare workers. If you're seeking care at a health facility, you should be able to know that the people treating you are vaccinated. Simple, straightforward, period. Next, I will sign an executive order that will now require all executive branch federal employees to be vaccinated, all. And I've signed another executive order that will require federal contractors
It's a lot of
to do
federal
the same.
federal
If you want
executive
to work
orders
with
there,
the
big
federal
cat.
government and do business with us, get vaccinated. If you want to do business with the federal government, vaccinate your workforce. And tonight, I'm removing one of the last remaining obstacles that make it difficult for you to get vaccinated. The Department of Labor will require employers with 100 or more workers to give those workers paid time off to get vaccinated. No one should lose pay in order to get vaccinated or take a loved one to get vaccinated. Today, in total, the vaccine requirements in my plan will affect about 100 million Americans, 2/3 of all workers. And for other sectors, I issue this appeal.
He gave a great speech on that. He
To
did. I
those
agree.
of you running large entertainment venues, from sports arenas to concert venues to movie theaters, please require folks to get vaccinated or show a negative test as a condition of entry. And to the
So that would
nation's
make
family
the.
physicians,
Let me take a quick pause.
pediatricians.
So interestingly enough, let's think about that. Say somebody wanted to go to a movie theater and they have to provide a negative test for entry, which, I mean, technically they can buy it and keep showing the same one. There's no way to prove that. So they're going to stress the idea of the vaccination cards. But say they actually allowed these tests. That means the price of a movie, if you get the cheapest test, would be $30 plus $15. So that actually separates the haves and the have-nots even more than we have before. So it's creating a privileged society on top of the rhetoric that he's already saying to pretty much divide the country in half based on who is vaccinated and who is not. I see everybody's comments. I'm wondering if you realize how insane this speech is in terms of the history of the United States of America, and it is the closest to revoking freedoms of any president in history. Say what you will about Trump, say what you will about the issues that Clinton had, Bush, etc., Obama. What is happening in this single speech with the executive orders, and somebody put in there, they're not going to pass. That's not true, because we have a fully blue government. Now there's the 60-40s, there's stuff, it's going to take some traction, but there is some Republicans that are on the same side as Biden in terms of these vaccinations. So this is not harmless. This could go past that because he has got some of the numbers he needs to make this happen after the executive order. All right, I'm going to continue from there.
GPs, general practitioners, you're the most trusted medical voice to your patients.
100%,
You
Casey.
may be the one person who can get someone to change their mind about being vaccinated. Tonight, I'm asking each of you to reach out to your unvaccinated patients over the next 2 weeks and make a personal appeal to them to get the shot. America needs your personal involvement in this critical effort. My message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for?
Research.
What more do you need to see?
Blood
We've
tests.
made vaccinations free.
They're not
safe,
free.
and convenient.
Jesus is such
Vaccine
bullshit.
has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. So please do the right thing.
Wow. Continuing to spread
Just
division
don't
and
take it
hate.
from me. Listen to the voices of unvaccinated Americans who are lying in hospital beds, taking their final breath, saying,
What about the
"If only I'd
vaccinated?
gotten vaccinated."
Yeah, you're
If
literally
only.
finding every news story you can
It's a
about
tragedy.
those. There's like 20.
Please don't let it become yours.
Mm.
The second piece of my plan is continuing to protect the vaccinated. For the vast majority of you who've gotten vaccinated, I understand your anger at those who haven't gotten vaccinated.
Because you caused it.
I understand the anxiety about getting a breakthrough case. But as the science makes clear,
Stop calling it a breakthrough case. It's just a case.
Vaccinated, you're highly protected from severe illness.
If you're healthy, you're highly
if
protected.
You get COVID-19.
If you've had COVID-19, you're highly protected.
Recent data indicates there is only one confirmed positive case per 5,000 fully vaccinated Americans per day.
Per day.
As safe as possible.
That's per day. That's a lot.
Everything we can to keep it that way. Keep it that way. Keep you safe.
That means in 50 days, you're at 1% of vaccinated Americans. But whatever. Math is hard, Joe.
Than after your second shot. Now, I know there's been some confusion about boosters, so let me be clear.
This should be good.
Last month, our top government doctors announced an initial plan for booster shots for vaccinated Americans. They believe that the booster is likely to provide the highest level of protection yet. Of course, the decision of which booster shots to give, when to start them, and who will give them will be left completely to the scientists at the FDA and the Centers for Disease Control. But while we wait, we've done our part. We bought enough booster shots.
With our tax dollars.
The distribution system is ready to administer them. As soon as they are authorized, those eligible will be able to get a booster right away in tens of thousands of sites across the country for most Americans at your nearby drugstore and for free.
It's not free.
The third piece of my plan
is
keeping, and maybe the most important, is keeping our children safe and our schools open. For any parent, it doesn't matter how low the risk of any illness or accident is when it comes to your child or grandchild. Trust me, I know. So,
God, he's horrible.
Let me speak to you directly. Let me speak to you directly to help ease some of your worries.
By reading a teleprompter that you can't read.
Two separate categories. Children ages 12 and older who are eligible for a vaccine now, and children ages 11 and under who are not yet eligible. The safest thing for your child 12 and older is to get them vaccinated. They get vaccinated for a lot of things. That's it. Get them vaccinated. As adults, almost all the serious COVID-19 cases we're seeing among adolescents are in unvaccinated 12 to 17-year-olds, an age group that lags behind in vaccination rates.
Because,
so parents,
I don't need to say it.
Please get your teenager vaccinated. What about children under the age of 12?
How about you
get vaccinated yet?
How about you have your kids eat healthier as well?
The best way for
work
parents
out.
to protect their child under
Get
the
off
age
the video
of 12
games.
starts at home. Every parent, every teen sibling, every caregiver around them should be vaccinated. Children have 4 times higher chance of getting hospitalized if they live in a state with low vaccination rates rather than states with
I want to
high
see that
vaccination
statistic and how they came up with that.
If you're a parent of a young child,
Nobody's going to fact check them though.
when will it be the vaccine available for them? I strongly support independent scientific review for vaccine uses for children under 12. We can't take shortcuts with that scientific work. But I've made it clear I will do everything within my power to support the FDA with any resource it needs to continue to do this as safely and as quickly as possible. And our nation's top doctors are committed to keeping the public at large updated on the process so parents can plan. Now to the schools. We know that if schools follow the science and implement the safety measures like testing, masking, adequate ventilation systems, which we provided the money for, social distancing, and vaccinations, then children can be safe from COVID-19 in schools. Today, about 90% of school staffs and teachers are vaccinated. We should get that to 100%. My administration has already acquired teachers at the schools run by the Defense Department.
Can I really quick make a stop? Do you know what's very interesting? The most unvied group there's PhDs as a demographic, African Americans, because obviously after the Tuskegee experiment, they shouldn't be trusting the government ever again, and healthcare workers. not the doctors, but the nurses that see the patients on the daily level, that have the conversations, that aren't the ones just looking at charts, but actually talk to the people and realize that before there was testing, or before there was, they were keeping proper track of whether or not somebody had the V word or not. They were seeing people coming from both sides, V'd and unV'd, and also seeing people have reactions that were questionable. And this is why they are at the 65 percentile compared to a larger portion of the country. So the people that are the most inquisitive, PhDs, black people that have learned to not trust the government, and then the healthcare workers that are on the front line, that are right there. Which, might I add, some of these hospital shortages are staffing shortages. I want you guys to keep that in mind. So these are the people that he's ridiculing the most. People that are actually on the ground floor when he is in an ivory tower of lack of understanding, if he even knows what he's talking about here.
Because I have the authority as president of the federal system, the Defense Department and the Interior Department, to get vaccinated. That's authority I possess.
Was somebody in the comments talking about the I word?
That will require all of nearly 300,000
What's up, Jules?
In the federal paid program, Head Start program, must be vaccinated as well to protect your youngest, our youngest, most precious Americans, and give parents the comfort. And tonight, I'm calling on all governors to require vaccination for all teachers and staff.
Stop whispering. It's creepy, bro.
We need more to step up. Vaccination requirements in schools are nothing new. They work. They're overwhelmingly supported by educators and their unions. And all school officials trying to do the right thing by our children. I'll always be on your side. Let me be blunt. My plan also takes on elected officials in states that are undermining you in these life-saving actions. Right now, local schools are undermining you. Learn safe in a pandemic while their governor picks a fight with them and even threatens their salaries or their jobs.
And he threatens freedom.
Talk about bullying in schools.
Oh my God. This is called gaslighting.
These governors won't help us beat the pandemic. I'll use my power as president to get them out of the way. The Department of Education has already begun to take legal action against states undermining protection that local school officials have ordered. Any teacher or school official whose pay is withheld for doing the right thing, we will have that pay restored by the federal government 100%. I promise you, I will have your back. The fourth piece of my plan is increasing testing and masking. From the start, America has failed to do enough COVID-19 testing. In order to better detect and control the Delta variant, I'm taking steps tonight to make testing more available, more affordable, and more convenient. I'll use the Defense Production Act to increase production of rapid tests, including those that you can use at home. While that production is ramping up, my administration has worked with top retailers like Walmart, Amazon, and Kroger's. And tonight, we're announcing that no later than next week, each of these outlets will start to sell at-home rapid test kits at cost for the next 3 months. This immediate price reduction for at-home test kits for up to 35% reduction. We'll also expand.
That's actually not cost if it's a 35% reduction. People are still making it.
10,000 pharmacies around the country.
The fact that you've never owned a business, you understand that.
Yeah. $2 billion
don't understand that.
To purchase nearly 300 million rapid tests for distribution to community health centers, food banks, schools, so that every American, no matter their income, can access free and convenient tests. This is important to everyone, particularly for a parent or a child with a child not old enough to be vaccinated. You'll be able to test them at home and test those around them. In addition to testing, we know masking helps stop the spread of COVID-19.
Still want to see the science on that.
That's why when I came into office, I required masks for all federal buildings and on federal lands.
Are they N95s that are fitted? No? Then
Today,
show me some science, big cat.
Tonight, I'm announcing that the Transportation Safety Administration, the TSA, will double the fines on travelers that refuse to mask.
There's no
If
fines.
you
You just
break
get
the
kicked off a
rules,
plane.
be prepared to
What
pay.
fines?
And by the way, show some respect.
Jesus.
The anger you see on television toward flight attendants and others doing their job is wrong. It's ugly.
A man showing no respect to a portion of the country,
Fifth
telling people
piece of
to
my
have
plan
respect.
is protecting our economic recovery. Because of our vaccination program and the American Rescue Plan, which we passed early in my administration, we've had record job creation for a new administration. Economic growth unmatched in 40 years.
40
We
years.
cannot let unvaccinated do this progress, undo it, turn it back. So tonight, I'm announcing additional steps to strengthen our economic recovery. We'll be expanding COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan programs. That's a program that's going to allow small businesses to borrow up to $2 million from the current $500,000 to keep going if COVID-19 impacts on their sales. These low-interest, long-term loans require no repayment for 2 years and can be used to hire and retain workers, purchase inventory, or even pay down higher cost debt racked up since the pandemic began. I'll also be taking additional steps to help small businesses stay afloat during the pandemic. Sixth, we're going to continue to improve the care of those who
Was
do
there a
get
1 through
COVID-19.
5?
In early July, I announced the deployment of surge response teams. These are teams comprised of experts from the Department of Health and Human Services, the CDC, the Defense Department, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA.
She's not any
Areas in
better.
the
She's
country
probably the one that wrote the speech.
that need help to stem the spread of COVID-19. Since then, the federal government has deployed nearly 1,000 staff, including doctors,
With your
nurses,
tax dollars.
paramedics, into 18 states. Today, I'm announcing that the Defense Department will double the number of military health teams that they'll deploy to help their fellow Americans in hospitals around the country. Additionally, we're increasing the availability of new medicines recommended by real doctors, not conspiracy theorists. The monoclonal antibody treatments have been shown to reduce the risk of hospitalization by up to 70% for unvaccinated people at risk of developing severe disease.
Why aren't we pushing that?
We distributed 1.4
Doesn't work for
million
vaccinated?
courses of these
I
treatments
think it does. Works for
to
everybody.
save lives and reduce the strain on hospitals. Tonight, I'm announcing we will increase the average pace of shipment across the country of free monoclonal antibody treatment.
Stop saying free.
By
It's
another
not free.
50%. Before I close, let me say this. Communities of color are disproportionately impacted by this virus. And as we continue to battle COVID-19, we will ensure that equity continues to be at the center of our response. We'll ensure that everyone is reached. My first responsibility as president is to protect the American people and make sure we have enough vaccine for every American,
Your
including
first
for
responsibility is to
every
protect the
American
Constitution.
who's approved to get one. We also know this virus transcends borders. That's why
It's
even
clearly
as
not
we
to
execute
protect
this plan
Marines.
at
That's
home,
definitely one that it's not
we
for.
need to continue fighting the virus overseas, continue to be the arsenal of vaccines. We're proud to have donated nearly 140 million vaccines over 90 countries, more than all other countries combined, including Europe, China, and Russia combined.
I've researched RFL.
That's
or RLF.
American leadership on a global stage. And that's just the beginning. We've also now started to ship another 500 million COVID vaccines, Pfizer vaccines, purchased to donate to 100 lower-income countries.
If it's
in need of
free,
vaccines.
then why would you use the word
And I'll be
purchase?
announcing additional steps to help the rest of the world later this month. As I recently released the key parts of
David,
my
would you like to
pandemic
come have a
preparedness
chat after
plan
this? You
so
can
that
come live
Americans
with
who
us if
caught
you'd like.
flat-footed with a new pandemic comes again, as it will.
He'll wimp out
Next
again.
month, I'm also going to release a plan in greater detail. So let me close with this. we've made so much progress during the past 7 months of this pandemic. The recent increases in vaccinations in August already are having an impact in some states where case counts are dropping in recent days. Even so, we remain at a critical moment, a critical time. We have the tools. Now we just have to finish the job with truth, with science, with confidence, and together as one nation. Look, we're the United States of America.
Look, man.
There's nothing, not a single thing we're unable to do if we do it together. So let's stay together. God bless you all and all those who continue to serve on the front lines of this pandemic. And may God protect our troops. Get vaccinated.
Oh, is he going to take any questions? Of course not. It's not really a press conference, but you get the point. Let me stop this piece of hot garbage. David Gomez, you're feisty in the comment box. I would love for you to come on and tell us how specifically Republicans, I think that's funny. I blame you Republicans who refuse to get vaccinated. So there's Democrats, by the way, that also refuse, just to be very clear. But I'm sure you just blame the Republicans because that's the level of idiocy that we have to deal with on a daily basis. So Casey and I are going to recap this for just a couple minutes. Obviously, this has now become a full-blown assault as if it wasn't already on the un-V-worded in this country, and it's absolutely ridiculous. We have I'm gonna go ahead and show the shirt. I know a lot of you guys were commenting. We do have a specific shirt that is where is it? I have it right here. Where'd it go? That's weird. I'll show it. Casey, would you guys what do you think of his speech?
It was pathetic. The biggest thing that pisses me off in the whole thing is at the end when he's like, my first thing as a president is to protect the American people, and that is wrong. The first thing as a president is to uphold the Constitution, which then protects the American people. So when you start implementing an executive order, or in my opinion, any executive order, you are going against the Constitution because you're not actually utilizing the powers that our government is supposed to be utilizing to pass bills and have checks and balances. The other thing is he's expanding loans. Notice our government wants to expand loans. He did say in expanding loans to businesses, no repayment for 2 years. He did not say no interest for 2 years.
Correct. He said low interest,
and no payment for 2 years. So he's going to bury employers with loans to where they probably can't pay them back. And a lot of people will walk off the job to where they can't make the money to be able to pay them back. And so only big businesses can stay in business.
There were so many things about that speech. David, I see a lot of people. I forgot to mention. I don't care. So you came on to have an attitude about this. Let's talk about it. Tell me why, and let's talk science, because God knows our government hasn't talked science in a long time. So David, I'm going to find you on Facebook. I'm going to find you in the comments. I got to get on there. Actually, can you, can you find him? Yeah. He's in the comments. If for some odd reason, I can't even see this live. It's not even showing. Fun fact.
I am. I'm on it right now. I can see it. So. It's
not showing it on my page, funny enough. So if you could see his comment, send him a direct link to this conversation if you'd like to come. If you could do that. I'm going to before I give my rundown, I'm going to show you guys, we did put this up on the website. Casey did today on Vaccinated Lives Matter. I've put the link on the bottom, and here it is if you want to get it. And then I'm going to give you my recap on what I think was the worst speech for a president to ever give in the history of the United States of America. And I mean that. I'm not speaking in hyperbole, because what that was destroying the freedoms of this country. I knew that was going to come today when I saw the news, and it was. So here you go. That's, if you want to go, just go to that link. It's in the comments on both both on Facebook and on YouTube. And I will be getting mine at the beginning of next week. So Unvaccinated Lives Matter. I think at this point we are the hunted. Anyways,
Gomez has the link. It's been shared. He just probably won't even view it or attempt.
Yeah. So it's in your messages there, Big Cat, if you want to join. All right. So Yeah, David, love to see you. Anyways, a couple different things. He continues to use statistics. Somebody put a comment about how Anomaly talked about how to lie with statistics. One of his best posts ever. It was about 7 months ago, and it broke down a book that really shows what Bill Gates has done in order to create the statistics he wants. So he talked about 2 million before he took office, 175 million after. Essentially, based on the pace of before he got in office, we've continued the exact same pacing. It's actually gone down because so many people have eventually gotten vaccinated. So that's a statistic that's just bullshit. And he's trying to show off something that he did not have anything to do with, especially on a vaccine that he had no actual help creating, which I can talk bad and blame Trump later on why I'm so upset about this vaccine. He did, as I talked in the beginning, he talked about the fact that he would never mandate. He actually said there will no be, in December, he said there will be no mandates. Where is it? Let's see. I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand it to be mandatory. That was in December, and now he's mandating it for every employer with more than 100 workers requiring COVID testing. Next, he talked about job numbers. Very interesting that he took a second to talk about the 3 months, because last month was the most abysmal month we've had in a comeback in a long time. It was 235,000 jobs. He actually said it was 700,000 on average because we had 2 good months before that. But that was 2 good months and then 2 bad months before that. So again, he's just using statistics to his benefit. Right now, the economy is not in a comeback. Don't look at the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is based off of a year's reflection leading into it and also what could happen in the future. We also had a huge spike in oil futures today that nobody paid attention to, which could be leading into more hikes in gas prices. So pay attention to that, something that could actually prove to be a huge issue. I'm not looking at the comments much, Casey, so if you see something, feel free to put it up, or if David actually decides to talk. Yeah. Let's see. The show a negative. So this is my question. When he talked about these companies of 100 workers. So I know people that own staffing agencies that were forced to become W-2 companies that have hundreds of employees but have low revenue numbers because they're not working full time. They're working for a couple weeks here and there. Are those companies going to be forcing people to be vaccinated? It's based on the rules. It sounds like it. Or what is this negative test once a week concept? That one was snuck in there a little bit. Obviously, nobody's really said anything about it. If that is a way out of whatever this garbage is, I'm interested to see that. If this is a fail-safe plan, I want to know more about that. His rhetoric, however, continued to divide the country. His rhetoric still force-fed the concept that there are better people and worse people. So when I blame Joy Behar and I talk about Jimmy Kimmel, he was on target with giving them food for the fire. He called it the pandemic of the unvaccinated, which is the most complete nonsensical scientific piece of garbage rhetoric ever uttered by a president. It is a pandemic that was started in China. Let's be very clear about that. It was a pandemic started in China. Or if you're a conspiracy theorist, North Carolina. But that's a whole different story, different conversation for a different day. But it was something that was developed in a laboratory where you've ignored what's gone on with Fauci the last 2 days. It's something that was an error or biological warfare created from a foreign power. We don't know. But this was not a whoops, this just happened thing. This was a man-made virus. So it is a pandemic from something that was manufactured. With that said, by blaming it on the unvaccinated and again, repeating misinformation that it is completely harmless, ignoring all VAERS data, which is a CDC website. It is a CDC portion. It is on their website, ignoring all that, ignoring the people that have spoken out to me and talked to me and been on our shows, ignoring those that speak out is a complete farce. And again, all the fact checkers retired after Trump. So there's not going to be an article tomorrow about how much he got wrong in that speech and how much he said wrong. But let me tell you, there was plenty. There was also misguided information like the jobs numbers. Let's see what else. More pay time. He's paying people. First off, that was all rhetoric. There's not a single employer that is going to know what kind of paperwork they have to fill out in order to give paid time leave off and then get reimbursed by the government. That's literally just sunshine and rainbows. It's not like I think people just think they push a button and they get all of a sudden funding for that day. What if an employee makes $600 a day? How is that employer going to fill out this? It's all bullshit. It's literally just something to pacify the American public. It's complete garbage. And yeah, his numbers with the economy, it's not a lie. They're accurate, but we're forgetting that because of the lockdowns, that yes, we're under Trump and we're under we don't know what the hell we're doing. The economy is bound to come back. That's what happens. There's jobs opening, whatever. Now it's slowing again. So let's see what the hell that is. And I can tell you, I know several people that are V-worded in the hospital. I know V-worded that are dead. These numbers, it's just such bullshit that they're blaming it. And then the numbers with 80 million, and I'll wrap it here and then talk with Casey. 80 million people are unvaccinated, includes children. So that number sounding so large is not taking into account how many people are under 12 and over. Notice they're under 12. Notice he never once said 80 million people that are 12 and over that are eligible for the vaccine have not gotten it. That would change the dynamic of the number. We have a predominance of this country that is vaccinated, and we are still increasing cases daily. And what we've seen in other countries that were ahead of us on this is that all of a sudden the Delta variant curve hits a wall. So whenever it does, he is making sure he's doing everything to divide our country, anger our country, put in set mandates so that he could seem like the hero when it all of a sudden drops off the table, which we are almost at that peak right now. So there's so many different things he's done in this speech and in this week that is absolute and utter just destruction for the American people and destruction for those that don't want to comply with something that is untested and has no long-term research. Again, to be clear, and I say this on our shows, if you have done your research and based on your age, your health conditions, etc., and you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. I have no problem with that. Anybody that wants it, go ahead and get it. And I want to remind you that it's not free. He talked about it being free. You may not have to pay for it at the actual checkout counter, but there is a charge in our taxes. As he said, purchase 500,000 or was it 500 million or 500? How many doses was it?
I think it was 500,000.
500,000 doses for other country purchase. We have to purchase for our own country as well. We just don't pay for it at the counter. So there's all these different things that were inaccurate and divisive in that speech. It is not a disease. It is not a virus of the unvaccinated. That's what I got. I'm going to talk. We'll talk some more with Casey here, and now I'm going to start looking at the comments.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't load with control, so that's why I can't click on comments. But you went off, and so I just let you go.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Was there anything good I missed? Anybody say anything fun in there?
Everybody's just venting like you are. Like we got to recap at the end. Like, what do we do? I want to touch on that. Later, but. One of the other things that I'm interested to see what he's going to do, because he said he's going to employ military for assisting in issuing the vaccines. What does that mean?
Sounds interesting.
What does that mean? So he's going to just go send National Guard out and just be like, hey, you want a vaccine? Yeah, we have nothing to do.
Yeah. Is that going to be like I feel like that sounds like something. Oh, yeah, the Gestapo. That's what it sounds like. That's actually what it sounds like.
And so when it comes to this whole thing with what he's pushing and everything he's saying, if you look at the media, they're all repeating the same things and they're blaming one side. And so it gets really frustrating when they're all blaming anybody that is not for the vaccine. They're not freedom of choice, which is obvious. Unless it's abortion, then it's freedom of choice. I don't get that. So when it comes to these surge response teams, what is that going to look like? Is that his bigger door-to-door that he's going to send to? Because he has surge response teams that he wants to deploy to.
Yeah.
And okay, what are those?
He said, just to be clear, real quick, Casey, he said employ because he can't read. That's just go ahead. Okay.
Well, yeah, I said employ. I did not mean deploy. If I said deploy,
I thought Biden actually said it in his speech, which I would not have been. He could have said a bunch of whole random things. But yes, he will be employing. That's actually more of an accurate statement. He's employing because right now he's choosing whether or not they can have a job based on their vaccination status.
So we'll just see what these. We're going to need to get the executive orders and read them. Because this could just all be talk. And I can guarantee you there's a whole lot more in these bills than what he said today.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah.
going to be plenty of surprises.
I'm wondering if I was waiting for him to somehow tie in the infrastructure plan to this, because he did that when he was in New Jersey and New York. He gave a speech to families that had just lost everything, and he talked about climate change and how his infrastructure deal would save this. There's nothing that's going to save a hurricane. I mean, the idiocy is so real at this point. It's absolutely horrific. It's horrific.
Well, we'll just
So,
blame the vaccines. Like, hey, COVID's a climate change issue. It didn't come from bats or in Wuhan. No, it's a climate change issue.
Eric,
Great.
did you see the new shirts? Eric just popped on. Pretty excited about these. We have these in men's and women's, by the way. So yeah, they've got the unvaccinated. You'll see the picture of the guy in the motorcycle because he looks badass at the top. But yeah, we have these new shirts. If anybody wants to go to the website, it's 20% off if you use "wake up" all one word to get this or any shirt or any hat like what I'm wearing. I think Casey's got one on as well. He's got the awake hat. Anyways, all right, back to business. Back to chatting. Okay. So what can
Scary,
we do?
man.
This is
do?
as scary as it gets. People talked about Trump and all of his flaws for a long time, and they just kept saying totalitarian, etc. This man is making executive orders based on a choice of something that has not that was what I want to bring up. He brought up the FDA, which, as I've said for months, we have to lay off the damn FDA, saying wait for the FDA approval. And now that they got it, they're using this as a post. I said it was going to get approved. I can't believe it got approved so ridiculously fast. That should be a sign. He talked about FDA and all the incentives. The FDA is hot garbage. It's approved so many horrific things in this country based on who the highest bidder is. And then incentives should tell you something. There's $500 here. There's a lottery here. There's free donuts here. And the thing he still failed to mention was natural health. He goes, the one thing that we could do to save ourselves is get vaccinated, without even once bringing up natural health. There's not been a single person in government that has, or mainstream media on the left side. There has been some on the right, but there's not been a single person bring up natural health, bring up a stress-free lifestyle, stop worrying about stuff as the importance of this. Not one. And when he brought up masking again, I've laid the gauntlet out there now for 3.5 months. Find me one article that has scientific research on how the cloth mask can protect you. I just want to know. I've asked for 3.5 months. I've even gone on opposing pages. And all it does is, first I get "you're an idiot." I provide my research, and then I hear crickets. And then when I ask for it, I get slammed again for being a conspiracy theorist. And I love that he used that word in speech. He used the words conspiracy theorists, aka doctors that have been Nobel Peace Prize winning doctors, reputable doctors, phenomenal family physicians, people that have been respected in their communities, but because they disagree with your science, which again, science is all about interpretation and testing data, they have now been shamed into being what you call conspiracy theorists. And the last thing in this little line of thought, Casey, they call us conspiracy theorists because months ago we said it was going to be mandated, and this is what we are going to be facing. We have been right all a freaking long about this specifically. We've been right about everything that we said would happen is happening. And it was back then 10 months ago, 8 months ago, we were told we were insane. And we are so friggin' spot on that if one more person calls us a conspiracy theorist, I'm going to lose my shit. How about just a predictor of the future? That might be a better title at this point.
Well, yeah. I have a magic ball apparently that the government doesn't have, I guess. But when it comes to it, look at everything like the I word, the R word, the H word. We've all been saying those, and people use them around the world, and things are going away.
And in the country.
So, and then there you have what Joe Rogan went through, another living example, and CNN's trying to blast him, trying to say he took horse paste when no, it was given to him by a doctor. And so they're trying to blast him because they don't want that anything positive of a treatment outside of the V word to be out there. They don't want it. So they're going to blast it, and CNN's going to just try to cover it up. And now Joe Rogan's asking, should I sue CNN? Yes, you should sue CNN, just like Veritas is doing. Force a retraction.
And just like the kid that got slammed for having the guy yell in his face on the Capitol steps, same thing.
Yeah.
Sue mainstream media. I mean, there's nobody that's got more high powered lawyers. Bury him. I mean, it's gotten to a point where our country relies on social media that is not just social media, it's shares of these CNNs, of the Fox News. And when they are being so cavalier and irresponsible, screw it. If somebody can, Joe Rogan could be the savior to bury CNN. They already don't have a ton of viewers. They're one of the least views mainstream media that there is. Like, and people talk about how well Fox is received. That's because that's the only mainstream media on the right. So that's why they have so many more viewers, because the other ones are spread out amongst the rest. All right. We're not going to keep talking very long. Let's talk about this. What do we do from this point forward?
From my perspective, there's multiple things, and then you got to take every prong. So it's going to be multiple prong approach. Executive orders can be overturned by Congress. So your House of Representatives and your senators, they need to be hounded and annoyed. You can already count on a lot of them, the Republicans, to fight against this, but they all need to hear about it, that your job's on the line. Hey, by the way, I know you're going to be you're up for re-election next year. This bill is going to decide that for me. Are you going to get rid of this or not? And stuff like that needs to be done and said clearly to your House of Representatives and your senators. Next is your local representatives, your House and Senate locally need to be hearing the same story, the exact same story. The most important out of all of them is your governor, because your governor can control what is imposed on your state. And you've already have, I'm seeing rumors everywhere, there's 10, 12, 5 states that are already saying, we will sue you, Joe Biden. No, we will not enforce your rules. So you have to contact all 3 of those groups. So I'll reiterate so everybody knows: House of Representatives and Congress and Senate. And then you need to contact your governor, which is the most important, because he can enforce and override anything that's implemented in your state. And then your House of Representatives and your Senate, just in case your governor doesn't actually do anything. Your local representatives can force a situation upon your governor. Those are the main key people that we have to be hounding until this is done. Yep. And then civil disobedience after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, carefully said. That I mean, we are at that point, and if we look to see what goes down in the next, the question is it too late? And honestly, are we already at the civil disobedience level? Because waiting to 2022's vote, there's too much damage that's going to be done to our country. As I said before the last election, or before this election came, I said the way that our economy is set up, it was Trump set it up to have just exponential growth, but it was on a house of cards. If things did not continue in his manner, and COVID almost killed it, if things didn't continue in his manner, we were setting ourselves up for an elongated 20-year recession. And the way that we've thrown what he had going on, these hot coals and a lot of risk, thrown them in an ice bath. This whole losing of employees, losing of workers, what this will do to the workforce is dangerous. And I said, based on the way you look at the stock market, the way people sell you on life insurance or on investments, is the stock market has always been 20 years. If you look at 20 years before at the highest it's ever been, and then 20 years later, if it's at the lowest, it's still higher. So you put your money in, you make money. That's the way our stock market works. It's not like that in other countries. And I'm going to tell you, we are putting ourselves at risk right now over the decisions that are going to be made in the next calendar year to destroy people's nest eggs, 401ks, life savings, if we don't do something now. So my response is stand up to your employers, talk to your other to people, do not comply. If you want to get the V word, get it. If you do not want to sacrifice your job, if you are willing to sacrifice your job or afraid to, either way, you're close, but you do not want to get it, get the people like you on board around you. Get the people that have nuts, that are that are vaccinated to stand by your freedom. If there are those people that you work with, this is where you have to band together. This is going to take work. It's better than losing your job, and it's better than doing something that you should not have to do based on the Constitution of the United States of America. They're breaking all rules right now. Break rules back by actually obeying by the rules. I know that sounds really, really, really weird, but stand arm to arm and actually fight this. You have to fight this. And the way you fight is by standing together. And you know what? If you've got 400 people that work someplace and you've got 47 people unemployed, or I'm sorry, 47 people unvaccinated, tell them in a written paper, in a petition, you will not do it. You have to fight together. This is not an individual fight. It's a team fight. And if I said in the very beginning, and I'll say this again, if anyone is, and I'm watching just emails come in from different conservative sites about this battle, but if anyone is somewhere near the Texas area and you have events and you see events where they are marching or they're around, I never thought I'd be a protester, but it's time to speak up. We have to motivate people to do the same thing. This is when people say, what are protests all about? The BLM protests were to create awareness, supposedly, to share that and to bring people together. That was what let's be honest, that's not what the creators wanted, but that is what the Colin Kaepernick said that his purpose was. All it did was divide. Right now, we're already divided. The purpose of us speaking up is to keep our freedoms. It's not about coming together. It's about keeping our freedoms and fighting for that. And hopefully we have enough people on board that will do that. So if anybody questions the motives of these protests, the whole purpose of these protests, if they come, when they come, is to highlight the underprivileged, which have now become the unvaccinated. So that's the best I can say. Everything Casey said, I agree with. Fight with school boards, fight with local, message your governors, continue to message them, call them over and over and over. Fight for it if you're at risk of losing your job. There are lawyers that I'm hoping start working together to band together for this. And yeah, teacher, I know the teaching profession has lost hundreds of thousands of teachers this year because they're not saying why, but it's because some don't want to be around COVID and some don't want to be vaccinated. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why we're so short on teaching. And it's a crime that we've got this over a virus that, although very dangerous and deadly, has a very low percentage. Last thing I just remembered from his speech, he talked about 1 out of 5,000. He said 1 out of 5,000 breakthrough cases per week. That means that as numbers go up, it becomes 1 out of 1,000. So that number is, again, a skewed graphic because over time, that means it will get to the same numbers as vaccinated. 1 out of 5,000 is not that ridiculous. That is not an astronomical number. Over time, like compounding interest, compounding cases, it becomes a very large number. The same chances that the unvaccinated group is week after week after week. This is very similar. It's playing with numbers to completely alter the public's perception and create misinformation. Anyways, that's what we got. Any final words, Casey?
Yes, I want to address some of these things that I'm seeing in the comments. Everybody's like, I live in Washington State, or I live in Kentucky and our governor sucks and we're all liberal. That is where I said your local officials, like I understand if your governor is a Democrat, your local officials. So if your local officials you contact your House and Senate locally, they can overrule your governor. That's the whole purpose of it. So you have to make sure you utilize every branch of the government. We definitely want the Congress, House and Senate in Washington, D.C. to overturn the executive orders. But if that doesn't happen, because we know we can't trust them as far as we can throw them, then we have to look at our governors. If our governors don't make sense, we got to go to the next branch below. And then civil disobedience is most likely going to be mandatory in some places.
Yeah, agreed. And it was 1 out of 5,000 a day, which means after 50 days, you're at 1%, which means you're essentially on par with the unvaccinated. So 1 out of 5,000 per day, because I know Joe doesn't really do math, nor does his team. You're reaching very similar numbers. And let's also not forget that many of the vaccinated have also had the virus before. So having the virus before is the ones that are, and every nurse I've talked to, they've seen almost nobody come into the hospital. with that have already had it. So that number is also decreasing because you've already had a lot of people in this country that have had it. So again, the numbers are skewed based on saying 1 in a day instead of let's look at the actual unvaccinated numbers. 1 in a day. What is that? 3 out of 5,000. So it's not a huge difference, and we're waiting for antibodies to change. And of course, there's going to be the booster shot as well. Yes, everything Casey said was brilliant. If that's how you want to, there's so many steps that we can do right now, but it starts with speaking up. If you haven't drawn the line weeks ago, this has to be the time you draw the line. Like this is it. Like this is as insane as it gets. I just realized my microphone fell. I don't know if it was hard to hear me or not.
No, you were still good.
God, it's got such a wide range. All right, last reminder. I've seen a couple. We've got 2 orders, 3 orders, the few orders that have come in. If you guys want there's also the woman's as well. I'll go to it so you guys can see it, and then we'll get off this live. There's a lot of fun stuff on here. Again, wake up, all one word. That will be that'll be your 20% off of pretty much anything. You know what the hats look like, as Casey and I are wearing them right now. We've got our final couple days for the Everything Woke Turns to Poop. That'll be done on Sunday. So if you want that shirt, make sure you order it by then. And then here's the ladies' Unvaccinated Lives Matter. So there you go right there. And it comes in a myriad of colors. This one's got, I know, red. That's what Mama Russo got. And I'm getting the black one. But they each come in a bunch of different stuff, different colors. So make sure you give that a look. 20% off everything with... what is she singing in the R? Jennifer. We'll talk. You know what? Let's get Jennifer on the show on Truth Will Set You Free next week. Let's do that. I'll just say that to my husband. Same path. Incrementally, they are tightening the screws. Yeah, it's continuing, and you guys need to stay strong. So hopefully you dig that shirt. I hope you enjoyed this piece of truth. But the game changed today. I had a feeling it was going to change today, and the game changed today. So be strong, be awake, not woke, and hopefully tune in to the next time we go on. Casey, you got any lives coming up?
Not planned. We'll just wait and see what the government triggers for me. So that's usually what happens.
I'm going to have something positive up tomorrow. I just got a gut feeling I got a good one, even though right now not feeling overly positive, but I just think, what is that? Rally, putting the fence back up. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of shit, but there are more. Let me know if there's any rallies. I want to talk at them. Let's get people rallied up. All right, guys, have a great evening. Let's see. Does somebody want the code? Yeah, it's wake up. It's right here. There you go. All right, guys, have a great evening. Remember, we are the land of the free, but sometimes we have to fight for it. And these hard times are going to create stronger men. That's what we have to do, men or women. Thank you, guys. Take it easy. Bye. Where's my button?